Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Today is a very overcast day in paradise, but I'll take the chance and hope that the rain does not come down. What is the US policy in the Caribbean following the trip by the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio? USA's Trump-Rubio policies in the Caribbean after the trip to the Caribbean by Marco Rubio's, the head of state of the Department of State. What am I saying? The Secretary of State of the United States of America, Marco Rubio. And this is what the US said that it was going to come into the Caribbean to do. Marco Rubio was in the Caribbean last week, and the United States of America set its policy clear before it entered the Caribbean. Have a listen.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will travel to Jamaica, Guyana, and Suriname March 26th through 27th to advance President Trump's foreign policy priorities in the Caribbean. While in Jamaica, the Secretary will hold bilateral engagements with heads of state from Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and Haiti. Secretary Rubio's engagements with our valued Caribbean partners will promote regional cooperation, and we're working on, of course, to end illegal immigration, counter transnational organized crime, strengthen regional actions to address Haiti's political and security challenges, and strengthen the United States economic partnership with Caribbean countries.
Yes, there you had it, my friends. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in the Caribbean advancing his president Donald Trump's policy in the Caribbean. But it was not what they can do to help the Caribbean. It was all demands on the Caribbean islands and telling them this is the United States policy and this is what the Caribbean should do to adhere to US policy, my friends. Following the state visit by US Secretary of State Marco Rubio in the Caribbean nations, the Trump administration has introduced several policy initiatives affecting the Caribbean region. One of the policies was that Marco Rubio and the Trump administration is not happy at all with China being in the Caribbean, and this is what Marco Rubio had to say about the Chinese work in the Caribbean.
In a lot of these countries, the Chinese companies go in and do a terrible job. Not a bad job, a terrible job. I just came from Guyana where we had to drive on a road the Chinese built. You were on the trip with us? Yeah. Did you have to go on this road? Yeah. Okay, we almost all had concussions because the plane, the road was so bad. It was terrible. They paid these people to build this road, and then they bring their workers. They don't hire you. They bring their workers in to do all the work. And then, or they want you to borrow a bunch of money, and then they hold it over your head. So what I want is for countries to have an alternative to that. What we want is for countries to have an alternative to that. If you're going to build a road, I want you to have a real road. They were better off with the dirt road than the road we were just on. And it's not the fault of the current administration. In Guyana, that was a road that was built before, but they did a terrible job. If you did that job in America, someone would sue you for a lot of money, okay? It was a bad road.
Whether or not it was a bad road, at least the Chinese are building roads in the Caribbean. The United States of America is doing nothing to help to develop the Caribbean islands. All they're doing is criticizing those that are trying to develop relations with the Caribbean. The US was in Jamaica, and they would have said that they would provide reassessment of travel advisory. In Jamaica, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced plans to re-evaluate US travel warnings to ensure that accurately reflect current conditions. The decision addresses concerns from Jamaican officials about advisories that may impact the tourism due to crime-related cautions. Scrutiny on Cuban medical missions. The U.S. was in the Caribbean scrutinizing the Cuban doctors in the Caribbean. The U.S. has intensified scrutiny of Cuba's medical worker program, labeling it as forced labor and imposing visa restrictions on individuals associated with it. Caribbean leaders has contested these claims, emphasizing the program benefits and compliance with labor laws. So the Caribbean nation islands said that they are not providing any forced labor. They are paying these Cuban doctors to provide a service in the Caribbean. The US is not happy. They are saying some countries provide forced labor, and they wanted to make sure that the Caribbean is not doing that. Chaos again, my friends. Criticizing and bringing chaos to the Caribbean. The US also provided support for Guyana amid territorial dispute and promised Guyana protection for oil. During his visit to Guyana, Rubio pledged a strong US response to any Venezuelan aggression over territorial disputes. A security agreement was signed to enhance intelligence and military cooperation, coinciding with joint naval exercises. I butchered that word, but haven't seen that word in a while. So, my friends, this is what the US had to say about what is happening in Guyana with Venezuela. They made a lot of threats there, and have a listen to Marco Rubio on the US policy in Guyana when it comes to oil.
Have the two superpowers reach an accommodation or understanding where each power limits their military, diplomatic, and economic presence in the backyards of the other powers, meaning spheres of influence for each power. And then related to China, in 2019, you supported legislation to have the U.S. government support the protesters in Hong Kong, the pro-democracy protesters, and mostly the protests are peaceful, but also
Demonstrating for they're going beyond demonstration. They are going and they're creating a ruckus. They are creating riots basically on campus, and it's unfair for students. Some of these schools are some of the most expensive schools we have in America. People pay a lot of money to. In many cases, we don't have American companies that have shown an interest in investing in a country, so they don't show up.
Sorry, that's not. This is not the clip. Let me see if I find the clip here.
Big tonight, the United States has sent a warning to Venezuela.
Yes, this is
Don't ever consider attacking Guyana. After arriving in the Guyana's capital on Thursday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio made it clear.
Sorry, let me get this for you again.
Big tonight, the United States.
I'll get this for you.
Big tonight, the United States has sent a warning to Venezuela. Don't ever consider attacking Guyana. After arriving in the Guyana's capital on Thursday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio made it clear that any aggressive actions by Venezuela against Guyana or its key oil partner ExxonMobil would be met with dire consequences. What would be the U.S.'s response should Venezuela attack U.S. oil major ExxonMobil, which is operating in Guyana's waters?
It would be a very bad day for the Venezuelan regime if they were to attack Guyana or attack ExxonMobil or anything like it. It would be a very bad day, a very bad week for them, and it would not end well for them. There will be consequences for adventurism. There will be consequences for aggressive actions. And that's why our partnership in that regard will be important. That is not what we want to be a feature of our relationship, but it is a necessity of our relationship because you have a very difficult challenge on your hands with a dictator that's making illegitimate territorial claims.
His comments follow growing concerns over Venezuela's territorial claims on the Essequibo region, a rich area in natural resources that has long been a source of tension between the two countries. Rubio noted that U.S.'s commitment to ensuring Guyana's sovereignty, stating that the U.S. military, particularly the Navy, was more than capable of responding if needed.
I'm not going to get into details of what we'll do. We're not big on those kinds of threats. I think everybody understands, and I want it to be clear. We've made this clear repeatedly. I think the U.S. Navy today is making it clear and demonstrating our ability to. We have a big Navy, and it can get almost anywhere. It can get anywhere in the world. We have commitments that exist today with Guyana. We want to build on those, expand on those, and we'll leave it for the appropriate time. But suffice it to say that if that regime were to do something such as that, it would be a very bad move. It would be a big mistake for them.
Speaking during a joint press conference following talks with Rubio on Thursday, Guyana's President Irfan Ali welcomed Rubio's reassurance to ensure the safeguard of Guyana's territorial integrity and sovereignty.
There you had it, my friends. Again, chaos again by the US. There's nothing that the US would have said that they would provide anything significant to the Caribbean. It's demands on what you should do, what you should not do. These people are doing this, these people are doing that. The US have its big army. We will attack Venezuela if they fight Guyana for oil. All of that type of rhetoric coming out of Washington, my friends. Also, the US would have Rubio's tour emphasized reducing the region's dependency on Venezuelan oil by promoting energy diversification. He didn't say how we're going to provide that. He just doesn't want the Caribbean buying Venezuelan oil. Discussions also covered combating illegal immigration and dismantling transnational criminal networks. U.S. visa revocations for campus agitators. Rubio also went on and said there are a number of students in the U.S. protesting at campuses and their visas will be revoked. The U.S. has revoked over 300 foreign student visas under the Catch and Revoke initiatives, targeting individuals involved in activities deemed agitational and extremists. Enhancing monitoring, including the use of AI tools, has been implemented to identify such individuals. The U.S. also proposed housing of U.S. prisoners in El Salvador. El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele has offered to house American prisoners, including convicted criminals who are U.S. citizens or illegal residents. The El Salvadorian maximum security prison for a fee. This proposal aims to make El Salvador's prison system sustainable and aligns with the U.S. focus on enforcing anti-illegal immigration policy. These developments underscore the Trump administration's increased engagement in the Caribbean, focusing on security, energy independence, and regional stability. My friends, all that I just read there and all that you would have just listened is what the Caribbean can do to help the U.S. Nothing is in there about what the U.S., the richest nation in the history of the world, the most powerful nation in the history of the world, will do to assist the Caribbean. All they brought was chaos to the Caribbean and demands on what the Caribbean should do, what they should not do. Do we actually need a partner like that in the Caribbean telling us what we should and should not do and how we should run the Caribbean nations? We don't need that. Because if somebody's not going to offer you anything, but they're going to come and make demands on you all the time, you don't need that person in your life. What you need is a mutual friend that will assist you as you assist them and speak to you with respect, my friends. Not demands, not the chaotic tone, not oh, we're gonna stop this illegal aliens, we're gonna fight, we're gonna send prisoners, we don't want you working with Cuba, we force labor. All of that sort of chaos we don't need in the Caribbean, my friends. That is why the mission of my channel is to bridge the gap between the African continent and the African diaspora. If you're watching for the first time, please consider subscribing to my channel. I post videos every day reacting to breaking news that affect the African continent and the African diaspora. The Caribbean nation islands are a part of the African diaspora, and we are the 6th region. A subscriber told me to highlight this. The Caribbean nation islands is the 6th region of the African Union. The African Union has 6 regions. You have North Africa, South Africa, East Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, and the 6th region is the African diaspora, which includes the Caribbean nation islands, African Americans, but African Americans don't have their own government. Donald Trump is the president of African Americans. The Caribbean island nations are sovereign nations with their own government and own head of state and prime ministers and presidents. So the Caribbean islands can decide to work closer with Africa, whoever they please to work with. So that is why we have to start to bridge the gap between the Caribbean nation islands and Africa and the African continent, and then we can bring in African Americans, Africans in Europe, Africans in Britain, Africans in South America. But we need to start with stability first. We need to get a partnership between the African continent and the Caribbean nation islands, which is the African diaspora. Like this video, my friends. Make sure to share it with all your friends and family that are interested in videos like this. I also have a travel channel. The link is here in the description box. You can subscribe to that channel as well. You can also join this channel and become a member and support the journey of bridging that gap between the African continent and the African diaspora. We are one people separated by a brutal European transatlantic slave trade and colonialism, but we're coming back together as one. Caribbean nation islands includes Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Guyana, Haiti, Cuba, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Martin, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, Aruba, Montserrat, Anguilla, the Virgin Islands, many more Caribbean nation islands, my friends, but I mention them as I go along. And the African continent, 54 massive African countries: South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique, Botswana, Lesotho, Eswatini, Angola, DR Congo, Central African Republic, Morocco, the Gambia, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, or what they call Cote d'Ivoire in French for Ivory Coast, Egypt, Libya, Burundi, Rwanda, my friends, Guinea-Bissau. That's the African continent, more countries, 54 of them, my friends, 54. What I'm saying, let us bridge that gap between the African continent and the African diaspora. Let me know what you think about this topic. Comment your thoughts and opinion on what you think about Trump and Rubio making demands in the Caribbean. Let me know what you think of Rubio's state visit to the Caribbean nation islands. USA Trump Rubio policies in the Caribbean after state visit. Let me know what you think about this topic, my friends. Comment your thoughts and opinion on the US diplomacy, on how the US runs diplomacy in the Caribbean. Let me know if this was a mutual friendship or this was demands, my friends. I say it was demands. I say I didn't like the tone. I said it didn't bring any benefits. But let me know what your thought about this is. And I'll see you again tomorrow in the next video. Hopefully it will be sunnier than today. Rain was falling on and off. But thankful that I got this video out today for you, my friends. Come out tomorrow again. I'll be posting tomorrow. I try to post every day. Please check out all my other videos on this channel. I post videos every day reacting to breaking news that affect the Caribbean nation islands and the African continent, the African diaspora and the African continent. Thank you for watching, my friends, and I'll see you again tomorrow in the next video. My name is Beyond. This is Beyond Uncut, signing out.